All smiles but two Tory MPs at opposite ends of the EU debate.
It's the right thing for us to leave.
This is a really good tease. Well done. You don't need to name her in the tease, okay? That can just come in the package.
Look beyond the EU and to row our own boat. I support staying in.
Same scenario, but great to have the Environment Secretary there.
Because I think it brings stability.
And well done for getting them looking in opposite directions.
A new footballing craze hits Hampshire.
Brilliant. I think we had some really fast-paced games. We started off the league really well.
I don't think it's a new footballing craze. Futsal's been around since 1930, so it's not that new. Whether it's new hitting Winchester, I'd be surprised. Be careful there. And the sound on the grab is not good.
And is the tide of independence washing over the Isle of Wight?
Bit flabby that, probably needed a few more words.
Good evening and welcome to Winchester News Online. I'm Victoria Wang. Britain's membership in the EU is one of the most divisive issues at the moment. It is particularly divisive in the Conservative Party. Earlier this week, Minister Liz Truss told WINOL why the UK should stay in Europe, but as you and Lyle reports, the local Tory MP wasn't convinced.
It's a really good start to this package because the link is informative. It tells the story. And Victoria, this week, you've taken everything that I said on board previously, and this is a really strong presentation of this bulletin. Your shoulders are relaxed, you're breathing better, there's none of that smile at the end of the link. It's really good stuff. And this package is pretty good too.
The Brexit debate may have been a series of grand announcements and campaigns in recent weeks, but it was a small Botley grocer that served as the backdrop for EU and local business discussion.
See, that's a really nice opening to it. It's just a little bit different, it's a little bit local, and you're setting the scene.
Two Conservative politicians were in attendance.
We're in attendance. What I was trying to say before I was sort of interrupted by Skype is the fact that you don't use "were in attendance." It's just very dated English. So just say "we're there."
From opposite camps, showcasing what has been called the blue-on-blue conflict.
What I would say is I support staying in because I think it brings stability, which is really important in a business like farming where we've seen a lot of price volatility. But what is also important is having successful local businesses like this that are promoting products direct to the customer. Because I want products not just to be enjoyed here in Hampshire, but right across Europe and right across the world. And it really does provide a really good platform for exporting those products and also supporting our local farmers.
You know, that's a really good grab, and then we're going to get the other side of the story.
Conservative and Eastleigh MP Mims Davis is supporting the other side of the EU debate.
I fundamentally believe it's the right thing for us to leave.
Again, it's nicely framed. Look at this, okay? Good rule of thirds. That's all this backdrop is really nice. The white really helps out. And you've got her looking in the opposite direction.
Look beyond the EU and to row our own boat. I want a parliament where I now have the pleasure and privilege to work to be sovereign when it comes to our laws, when it comes to immigration, when it comes to future matters for the UK.
One party, two opinions. Two Tory MPs were happy to share a photo opportunity together today. But in 3 months' time, will everyone, including local business owners, still be smiling?
Clearly, this is what I was trying to say. Not everyone is going to be smiling. And actually, I know you've used this as a theme in your piece. I didn't see that much smiling going on. So I wasn't quite sure why you used that sort of phrase to permeate through your whole piece. But there's some really strong things in there, Ewan. Just a couple of tweaks needed.
Winchester News Online.
With the EU referendum approaching, we continued our opinion poll for a second week running. Our political editor, Rebecca Dixon, crunched the numbers.
The opinion poll run this week is showing much the same information as last.
That's what I'm saying. Don't say much the same. Let's put it on a positive spin. If we carried on saying, well, it's much the same, there is no story there. What we have to do is saying what this 86% want.
With 86% of people asked voting to stay in the EU and only 9% of the 103 people wanting to leave.
How does that compare to last week? Are we a percentage up, a percentage down? Exactly the same. So what you could say is that if it's exactly the same, you'd say no matter what is going on in Westminster or around the country or in Brussels, the view of the students of Winchester is exactly the same. They will not budge from wanting to stay in the EU. That's the sort of thing you ought to be looking at.
Then we're still unsure. So, will Britain be exiting the EU? Or will it be carrying on as an EU member?
And what's happened to the voice there? You voiced that at 2 different times, probably in 2 different places, and it sounds dreadful.
Minutes ago, our updated results from our Winchester student poll says that the vast majority amongst our student sample anyway would vote to stay in the EU. Joining me now in the studio is Conservative councillor John Showin, who is backing the campaign to stay in the EU. So according to our poll, younger people are more likely to vote to stay in the EU than older people. Well, how do you think this is significant?
Well,
Right, he's just, I think it's Alice, I think you're directing this. Now he has just, it's well done, Victoria, for getting that first question out, looking relaxed, bringing him in without having to look at script or anything like that. That's really strong. But the man has just started to answer, and at that stage we have to see him cut up rather than Victoria.
it's the first real opportunity we have to express our opinions on the European question.
And again, I'm not quite sure what the comma here is for. Don't know what that's about.
And young people nowadays are decidedly more liberal, I think, than our predecessors and the older members of the Out campaign. And it's good because it's nice to see young people be engaged on such a large and important question. And with vote turnout, especially among young people being decidedly low, it is good to see such an important issue rearing its head.
I think, while I have said in the past it's nice to see Victoria or your presenter there, you can overdo it. And actually what is of interest is the guy you're talking to. So if you are going to come away, and I think it's too soon to come back to this, then you're going to do it for a shorter amount of time. This is too long.
In student politics.
Speaking of issues, migration was
Because now you might want to do it on her question and use the 2-shot as well.
big in the news again today. So how do you think these key issues play into the referendum?
Well, it sort of adds into the hyperbole, if you like, of the campaign. I mean, the scenes of the migrant camps in Calais, for example, are very poignant reminders of how real.
And cut away now.
And I think that this sort of
See, there's that extra beat. It's just all a little bit too long.
for these issues is something we can't avoid to ignore. And sort of working forwards, we need to use this to sort of show people what the EU can do, how we have a responsibility to look after these people.
Now then, what are your
That's a much better sequence.
in the campaign about staying in the EU? Are you happy with it?
I am, yes. The Prime Minister has done an exceedingly good job of setting out what we as a nation hope to get out of the European Union. And nowadays we find ourselves linked so closely with Europe. And senior cabinet ministers who have come out against it, unfortunately, are also making their case in a very valid way. But the campaign, as I say, is smooth. We're not resorting to sensationalism, and as I said earlier, the hyperbole that comes with these things. From the In campaign in particular, we're looking at reasonable debate about a big issue. We can't afford to let serious emotional considerations get in the way. This should be a reasonable and fair debate focusing on a large problem that we have to take very seriously.
Now, in other news, they were hailed by some as a major.
Okay, what happened to the thank you there? It was all a little bit abrupt. Without a, thanks very much for coming in. Very interesting. That's what we need. I actually thought it went on too long. I think there was probably one question too long, and the sound on it is not very good. I don't know why it keeps coming up and going down. Okay, next story.
Forward in providing providing care for children and families, Shore Start Centers provided a range of services for the community. But now, Hampshire County Council has launched a 10-week public consultation looking for major savings.
Hampshire County Council are proposing to reduce the number of Sure Start centres from 54 to 11, which is around one in each district. These centres provide everything from childcare to women's services for families in the area. The proposals to cut these centres is being opposed by prospective MP for Winchester and Chandler's Ford, Jackie Porter.
Okay, I like the way you've explained it at the beginning. What you've got to be careful of, Natasha, is not losing your words, because you talk quite quickly, so we need to slow down your delivery. Now, when you call this woman a prospective MP, I don't think she is. I don't know if you sort of discussed this with anyone. She went for the Steve Bryan's job, basically, was up for election at the last election, and she was miles off. She's got half as many votes. I think it's 30% fewer votes than Steve Bryan. A huge majority he has got. So I think when you haven't got an election, she is not prospective MP. Maybe you've been advised that's what you call her. But I think when there's no election and there's no likelihood of an election, she cannot be a prospective MP, because they may not have really chosen who they are going to have if there were a by-election when the next general election comes around. So I think you've got to be careful. We've got to find out what she is, basically. Is she a local councillor? Is she, whatever she is, we need to describe her in a different way. Also, this is what I was talking about with Annette. When you're in radio, what Annette has taught you is absolutely right, that you are going to name check somebody before you hear from them. In TV, we don't have to do that because we have a caption, we have a lower third, that we have an Aston, a super, whatever you like to call it, that covers them while they're talking. And that is what TV is for. So we don't name check people as we go into their grabs.
So thinking about who's going to be affected, it's going to be every single child.
I think, the other way we could do it is, this is for the second grab, I think it is, you use a verbal, and think about another way of linking into people. When we come to it, I'll show you what I mean.
And 5 and their families. A lot of them successful ones.
That was a horrible cutaway. It's just it's almost as bad as a flash frame. It's there. It doesn't mean anything. So you've got to find some other shots to cover your, obviously your jump cut in there.
Are right in the heart of the communities that really need them. And I don't think we should throw that out.
Jackie Porter said that we need at least one in every major city centre. Denise McKenzie, chair of the board of the trustees at the Carroll Centre, is concerned about the proposals.
Okay, you've just done a full link there. A, we haven't seen her, and B, you've given her a name check anyway, which is unnecessary. What you can say is those who work there are concerned about the proposals. Then you see this woman, and then we'll caption her.
Likewise, I'm most concerned that
again, the sound is really not good. We should have a mic right in close, getting good sound there.
Children that will fall through the cracks. So by changing the way the service works, you
and again, that's not a very nice cutaway.
actually change the impact that that child can then make in the community that they're part of.
In a statement seen by Winchester News Online, Hampshire County Council said that they will make sure any children or families affected will be provided with an alternative.
I don't quite understand why you're in those shots. It's you cannot stunt yourself up as somebody using the service. Really?
As many as 43 Sure Start centres could be lost if proposals go ahead. A 10-week public consultation started on the 23rd of February and a decision will be made in July. Natasha Hunt, Winchester News Online.
That's fine. You give them loads of information that you can't put in your package. Again, I think we just need to slow down your diction and slow down your delivery, and then I think you'll get better voiceovers. But please don't use shots of you in the package. That's a stunt. We need other people. Don't put yourself in it.
For the full version of the Hampshire County Council statement, please visit our website winol.co.uk.
That's a good back note, okay? Because we're covering our backs there.
2 homeless shelters that were at risk of closure have been saved by the City Council. Our housing reporter Therese Nordgaard has more.
Nope, that's not how we write packages. We don't write links that way, sorry, into packages. We do not do, here's a line, our reporter has more. Please, please explain your story. It should be maximum of 3 lines long, really. 3 sentences, 3 thoughts telling that story, because that is not good. Just have 1 line, X has more. Ban it right now.
The Winchester City Council has approved the proposal of saving 2 homeless shelters that were in risk of closure.
Right, there are 2 things here. Firstly, that repeats what the 1 line that was in the link, so that's not good. So one of the biggest crimes as part of a bulletin is your link being repeated by the reporter in the very first line. And the other thing, I think Daniel was producing this week and should look at every package. And for some of those people for whom English is not a first language, there are some difficulties over writing, which is perfectly understandable. That's not a problem. But Daniel should be looking at those and helping with, there are a few words there that are not quite right. We wouldn't say the Winchester City Council or the Hampshire County Council, I can't remember which one it was. And he said in risk, and we'd say at risk. Really simple things, but we can help out with that. The end of this shot is not nice. Look at it, it just...
Milford House in Gordon Watson
Look,
House,
it's just wobbling off.
previously owned by First Wessex.
Why is that moved?
Councillor Caroline Horrell,
That move doesn't do
chairman of the
anything.
City Council, says that if one were to lose these beds, finding new homes for the tenants would be extremely difficult.
35 places.
And again, you've done a name check going into. Fine on radio, Annette is absolutely right on that, but not on TV. And this looks a bit of a soft picture. It's not quite in focus, I don't think. I don't know if it's the way it's been uploaded or imported, but it looks soft.
Hugely important, and if those people were displaced, there'd be a disruption to them. That's not good for them, but also could we accommodate everyone? And we couldn't take that risk, so buying it was the best thing, and I'm glad to say everyone said yes.
The Winchester City Council has decided to make some changes, such as improvements to the hostels. They will also be working with several organisations to make sure that they are run the best way possible. Therese Norgard, Winchester News Online, Winchester.
Therese, that's a really good piece of camera. You're really strong and good in front of camera. I think that's really nice. It's pretty well framed. You've got loads of space, or looking space as we call it, and you've given us lots of information. So well done. We can we should use that and get you in vision, because you look very strong on camera, as Ewan did earlier on. That was good. And Natasha, if you slow down what you're saying, then you'll be as confident as well. Now this is News in Brief, and it started straight away. Now you need to have a link in the studio first, otherwise you've gone from the end of Therese's piece to camera straight into this, and you think, hang on, what's going on?
Southampton has been announced as an area where anti-pollution zones will be created. This is after the UK has been warned to reduce air pollution now or face legal action. The UK branches EU limits for nitrogen dioxide, with diesel cars being one of the main sources of the problem. With the use of cars in the area being inevitable, ministers look to have a job on their hands in order to keep pollution in cities like Southampton in line with regulations.
I think here it needs sort of a rewrite. Really, it's a bit wordy. It's like you've got a press release and you've tried to reword it, and it's just it's not really written in a journalistic style. So that needs a lot of help, that piece.
Local residents fear the safety of the council's plans to build new homes. 13 new units will be built on Hillier Way in Abbots Barton. This has struck concern with locals who are worried about the problem the new housing estate could cause. They fear more people needing to use the blind turning into the new car park could be dangerous, especially at busy times. The road next to the estate is very narrow, and the introduction of more traffic comes with the risk of more accidents.
Yeah, all this is a bit wordy and worthy. It just needs a harder edge to it.
But Winchester City Council said they need to build 350 houses in the district over the next 10 years.
It also needs a wider shot to get a perspective of what's going on. They're all a little bit tight, these.
This would benefit young families, first-time buyers, and old people needing a suitable home.
And that sounds like just a puff for the council.
Following the death of David Bowie in January, the Railway Inn in Winchester will be holding a David Bowie tribute night tomorrow. The event will feature some of Bowie's songs, accompanied by other vocalists. Attendees will be asked to donate £3 at the door in order to raise money for the Wessex Cancer Trust. Tickets for the event have already sold out.
I suppose that's, it is noteworthy. I think it's a bit of a puff for the Railway Inn, but it's okay.
And now, over to Alice Rose and the features team.
Thank you, Victoria. Just a reminder, Mother's Day is almost here, so don't forget to show her how much you care. Why not treat her to an extra special homemade afternoon tea? Here's Rohanna with a recipe to get you started. It's Mother's Day on Sunday. Here's how to make...
Now, what I like about this is at least we've got a theme. There's a reason for doing this. The only trouble is we've just ended up with a couple of recipes, and is that what our features is all about? Just safe options of recipes.
The perfect afternoon tea for your mum. To make the scones, add 225 grams of self-raising flour to a large bowl. Add 55 grams of butter and rub together until the mixture resembles breadcrumbs. Tap the bowl to make sure all the flour is mixed in. Add 25 grams of caster sugar and mix to combine the ingredients. Then make a well and pour in 150 millilitres of milk. Mix with your hands until the ingredients come together and form a dough. Separate into 6 equal-sized balls of dough and place on a lined baking tray. Lightly beat an egg and brush on top of the scones. Place the scones in the oven to bake for 15 minutes.
Temperature, please. We never seem to have a temperature on our oven, so I have no idea to what temperature to put my scones on.
Leave to cool and then serve with a generous amount of jam and clotted cream. For the full version of this feature, head to WINOL181.co.uk. Thank you, Rohanna. With the recent obsession over sugar-free snacks, here's a healthier option.
Right. Okay, when you're writing this link with the recent obsession of sugar-free snacks, well, you have to explain what is the recent obsession. Who does it affect? Who are we talking about? Who has a recent obsession? Just because it's been in the news. I think there's a line later on, because it's been in the news. You have to explain it. Cannot presume knowledge or refer to something that actually you haven't explained.
That your mum would love. For a healthier gift to give your mum, why not try these savoury treats?
These look soft as well. Camera's trying to focus.
Begin by preheating the oven to 200 degrees. Toast 50 grams of pine nuts until golden. Blend together the pine nuts, 2 cloves of garlic, 50 grams of parmesan, a bunch of basil, and 150 ml of olive oil. Blend until smooth. This is the homemade pesto. Spread the pesto onto a sheet of puff pastry to create an even layer. Sprinkle over feta cheese using as much or as little as you like. Top with some chopped sun-dried tomatoes. Fold both sides of the pastry in, leaving a gap in the middle. Fold these sides over again so that they meet. Cut the pastry roll into slices. Line a baking tray and place each slice onto the tray and glaze with milk. Put them in the oven for around 15 minutes or until golden. Enjoy! For the recipe of the second filling, go to WINOL181.co.uk.
Looks fine. I just think, again, it looks very soft, the shooting on that. But it's a nice enough recipe. I just don't think we need 2 recipes, and that's the whole of the features this week.
Hey, Letty.
Now there's no excuse not to get your mum anything. Oh, that reminds me. I better write my mum's card. Back to you, Victoria.
Nice to have a bit of personality there, so that makes it refreshing, Alice.
Thank you, Alice. And now, all the latest sports news from Matt Shepherd.
Thank you, Victoria. Have made over 4.
The sound is all over the place. I don't know why on this edit that this is so much louder than Alice was.
150 appearances for Southampton. Premier League legend Matt Le Tissier is now looking for his next predecessor.
I don't think you mean next predecessor. Predecessor is someone before him. So I'm not quite sure what you're trying to say there.
His highly rated football academy is linked up with AFC Tottenham in a partnership that will begin next season. Jack Sear has more.
Matt Le Tissier Natural Coaching is in its 4th year now, aiming to coach aspiring young footballers the beautiful game in a professional but fun way.
I know you're doing this on your smartphone, Jack, but that's a really long opening shot and a bit dull.
They recently announced a partnership with AFC Tottenham, which will see under-16 players coached by MLTNC fed into the Stags youth setup. They'll be coached by a host of individuals that have had or are having professional careers in the game. One of these is Academy head coach Francis Benali, who played alongside Le Tissier for a number of years and tallied up over 300 appearances for Southampton.
Don't know if there are any pictures. I know clearly you can't use old footage, but whether there are any stills of the two of them together.
Our eldest age groups.
This is very profile-y again, and I think the background is pretty dull. I know you wouldn't have had much choice about where you go, but even just sorting something on the table so it looks better than it does, and you've got Benali in profile, and that's not so good.
Stage now where they need to almost go into youth football, and if they didn't do that with a club that we partner up with, then
And think also that you are too high here. You're looking down on his eyes. You need to come down a bit lower.
We almost face losing boys and girls that have been coaching for years.
The connection with AFC Tottenham will give players of age 15 and upwards an opportunity to find their way into professional football without the pressures of a normal Football League club academy. MLTNC prides itself on its way of coaching, where players are encouraged to play with a freedom, rather like the way Le Tissier did during his own playing days.
We're very positive, we're very encouraging with the way that we coach, and to come and have some fun. I mean, we've all got passion for the game, and we want to sort of pass that on to the younger generations.
The partnership will be put into place next season, and all those involved with AFC Tottenham will be hoping that they may even have the next Matt Le Tissier coming through their ranks. Jack Sear, Winchester News Online.
And what about talking to some of those people doing it, Jack? I think it would just add a lot more on just hearing from Benali. There is no shot of any sort of Matt Le Tissier in there. Even brochure, even website or something would just help it out. But what I do like is probably you have generated that story yourself because of your contacts. And once again, that is a good local story, and it's well told. I've gone through individual bits there that aren't right with it, but it is a well told story. So from that point of view, well done. You just need to think a bit more about pictures.
Basingstoke Bison welcomed the informed Telford Tigers in a battle of the beasts. Matt Wilson was there to see the action.
Bison were looking to pick up their only available points this weekend, and they looked ready, starting off at a much higher speed. Aaron Connolly was the first to get his name on the score sheet with a strong finish.
Is there any way you can put the scoreline, Matt? So the scoreline goes above there, and then you put Aaron Connolly underneath. I mean, in a lot smaller fonts than that, but then you can get them both up at the same time. So you'd have Bison 1, Tigers 0. Can you have a second line, basically? But what I like about the package is it's well paced, it's well constructed. Try and go in tight after a goal if you can to change the shot, so you can edit in that. Just otherwise everything looks a little bit samey.
The captain then struck again, taming the Tigers with a slight deflection in front of goal.
So now you could zoom in at this bit, then you get a nice tighten here that you'd be able to cut in.
A goalless second period left it all to play for in the final third. but it was Bison who scored again. This time Rennie Yarrowlin was ready to slot the puck home and almost put the game out of reach for Telford. The away side did get one back, Dan Davies with the rebound, leaving Hardlowski with no chance after making the initial save. The Tigers pushed for another goal, but they had no bite left as Hardlowski stood firm in the Bison net. Basingstoke Bison are now 9 points clear at the top of the EPL with 5 games remaining. Matt Wilson, Winchester News Online.
Good to have that at the end, Matt. I appreciate that. But go back to the link. I thought we got away from that sort of link, so get rid of that as well, please, if you can. And I think, Matt, somebody else has got to end up doing Voicing Bison, because I think now for week on week, you have just gone and done Bison, done a highlights package, and I think it's time to do something else.
Basingstoke.
The fast-paced game of futsal has sprinted into Hampshire after the opening games of the FA's League kicked off last week. Hannah Quinn went to see if the league would hit the ground running.
Just slow it down a bit, Matt, otherwise it gets a little bit too fast.
It may have been the end.
I like the way you've let that breathe to begin with, Hannah. That shows a good appreciation of what your pictures are.
The week, but there was no tiredness in Winchester last Friday as the intense game of futsal had players running fast and thinking quick. The five-a-side game is played right across the world and boasts developing the talent of players like Pelé, Messi and Neymar. The FA hopes the game will now help players in Hampshire too.
Obviously futsal's a lot faster pace, you've got a lot more technical skill on the ball because it's smaller, obviously it's heavier, so the ball's going to stay on the ground. And obviously players then have to move a lot more, really good for technical development.
As well as rapid movement, quick decision making is also needed with the smaller pitch and counter possession times. Swift counter-attacks, slick tricks and silky passing moves are staples of the sport. The speed that matches are played at means there's lots of action.
Oh, it's great fun. Great fun. It's fast-paced. Lots of goals, lots of saves, lots of tackling, so it's better than normal football, I think.
Basingstoke rocketed to the top of the league with a 14-1 win against the University of Winchester. And they really taught the students a lesson with their patience to outpass their opponents, even in the small penalty area.
Nice. It's really well scripted. I mean, I've noticed this before, Hannah. You've got a very good way of explaining things. It's a really good scripting and expressing what this game is all about.
Played monthly, with the FA hoping more teams will be all in for futsal from here. Hannah Quinn, Winchester News Online.
And that's a good finish as well. Not only by him, but by you. It's just a really nice package, all shot from low level because you can't do much else about it. But you think about your shots, you've mixed them up. Maybe you could have talked to some more people rather than just one guy, really. But it's nice that that is a local feature. And some good explanation there. One thing I'd say about the interview of the guy from the University of Winchester, you do chop off his head a bit. I don't know if he was tall, but half his head is chopped off.
That's all from sport. Back to you, Victoria.
Thanks, Matt. And now, lifeguard clubs in the UK are in line for grants from the government this year. Sam Gosher went to a training session in Portsmouth to speak to members of a local service.
Yeah, they're in line for grants, but they're always in line for grants, aren't they? So that's not really a news line. So we need a news line on this story.
Budding lifeguards in training at Portsmouth's Mountbatten Centre. Lifeboat stations aren't active at this time of year, but services are welcoming a new wave of government funding.
So it's a good opening line, and now you're into the story and explaining it.
Portsmouth and South Sea Lifeguards, who run both a lifeguard and lifeboat service,
good explanation.
Largest grant from the £1 million fund.
It's probably one of the oldest rescue plants actually in the Solent right now, so it's due a change for us, and hence our bid was a lot bigger because it's a huge project compared to just replacing a piece of equipment on the boat. And we do, if you go through our statistics, we do save a lot of lives per year, and even if we save one life per year, I think it's personally worth it. You can't put money and figures on a life.
it's going to be a safer boat for us. And at the end of the day, it's going to be kinder on the cruise. We're not getting any younger, so we've got to look after our backs and our bodies, so it should be a bit kinder on us.
The service hope to receive the new boat before the end of the year and raise further funds for other equipment and projects. Sam Gocher.
Yeah, Sam, it's all right. There's a good mix of shots here, so that's fine. I'm still trying to work out what the story is. This is a bit similar to our graph from our poll. Nothing much new. Same again. So I think we just got to angle it in such a way that there is a news story. Are they looking for volunteers? Are they looking, rather than, the grant's back, we've got it, it's really important. Just need a news angle.
Just the news online.
And finally, it's one of...
And what happened? Did you say you were in the wrong place? Your SOQ was a little bit strange in that it sounded like you were going to go and say somewhere and then you didn't. And what about maybe some vox pops from the people who are being trained up there?
Famous parts of our region, now the Isle of Wight may become part of a possible new South Hampshire local authority. More autonomy, but are the islanders willing to go all the way and govern themselves? We sent Diocletian to investigate.
This is a great story, but who is saying what is going to happen, that they are going to be autonomous, that they may be part of South Hampshire local authority? I don't think anywhere in this piece or in the link is there any substance to what this story is about.
The Isle of Wight, linked to the mainland by ferries and hovercraft. It is famous for old-fashioned seaside buildings, and everywhere you look, there are yachts, piers, and pleasure boats. They have always been a bit different here. The island has been home to Lewis Carroll, Queen Victoria, and most recently, David Icke. Now, under proposals to restructure local government, the island could have more autonomy as a part of new South Hampshire Super Council. Independence is all the rage from the SM.
Sorry, I am chuckling at the David Icke one. You probably don't know who David Icke is, but there are some big people there, and then David Icke, who's a bit of a joke, but that's quite funny. And I would like the pictures to represent a bit more of your words, I think.
In Scotland to the debate over the EU. So WINOL went to find out if any of the islanders wanted to go the whole way to full independence.
Okay, so you never heard of talking about Isle of Wight being independent?
Well, just after the war, they spoke about it then.
Just think about your framing here. He's very central, where actually he should be there if he's talking that way, or he should be about here if he's talking that way.
1950, something like that. A long time ago.
So do you think it's good for Isle of Wight to be part of it, or just literally?
And again, there's all this space here. If she was looking out this way, that would be right, but she's looking out here. So bring your camera around. She should be sort of round about here.
And long will be better, or?
No, I don't think it could stand.
No,
it's not big enough.
Do you think that Isle of Wight itself is enough to stand?
Same again with his framing.
As a county?
Yes, it's got 140,000 people living here. It's got public services, it's got industry and businesses, and a lot going for it. And certainly a strong regional identity, so I don't see why not.
Of course, there's no indication the Isle of Wight will be joining United Nations anytime soon, but the island does have a population much bigger than Andorra, Liechtenstein, and San Marino.
That's a really good reference point. That is very interesting. Although I'm not sure that's quite what the story is, but it's a very good reference point.
Independent countries, which is really proud of. Diocletian, Winchester News Online, Isle of Wight.
I think this is begging for a piece to camera to have you there. You've had the gumption to go out and get this story, to get on a boat, to go to the Isle of Wight, to shoot it, but I think you need to, show yourself off, and you could have done that last piece to camera in vision. Even if you're there on your own, you can do it. So just think about that, because whenever we go anywhere, let's show that we've actually made the effort to go there. So well done from that point of view for actually going there, but I still don't see the argument. Where is the basis for this place suddenly to become independent?
That's all from us. For more award-winning news, please visit our website, winol.co.uk.
Very well done. It actually, where I've maybe put Daniel in, I'm just looking at your credits here. Maybe it was Rebecca who needed to help out on some things, but Victoria, again, really well presented. Very impressive.